Hey, what's up guys, Rev here. So today we have another round of gaming related controversies to cover, more acts of censorship across multiple games and communities, and it's causing quite the stir. So we're going to start off with Stellar Blade here. This is one of the main accounts promoting this game on English Twitter, and as you can see, a pretty big following, and some of their posts have been very influential on how this game is being sold and perceived. They are also responsible for this infamous tweet right here where they promised only days before release that Stellar Blade would be released globally uncensored. And of course, that would age very poorly. You can even see this tweet has a community note on it, fact-checking it and disproving this claim that it would be uncensored. And we know that multiple levels of Stellar Blade were censored at a release, including outfits being censored, gore, blood, graffiti, what have you. This went against the promise of how this game was supposed to be. This is how this game was advertised by this Stellar Blade account. And you can see here, yesterday they made things even worse. They retweeted a Kotaku article celebrating the censorship of Eve's outfits. Yes, what were they thinking is the main question people are asking, because this seems completely tone deaf. I mean, sharing a Kotaku article in the first place is already showing that you have no awareness of your customer and support base, but an article specifically celebrating the censorship of her outfits is outrageous. It is a terrible PR move. Some people are even questioning whether intentional or not. Is this account basically serving to sabotage Stellar Blade at this point because of the uncensored promise now being coupled with this? What exactly is going through their heads on this page when they share this? It shows absolutely no awareness of your customer base and the potential customer base and the support base that is interested in this game and this franchise. This was a boneheaded move, and obviously, I mean, we know why this is a dumb move, and of course it would cause a lot of controversy, and eventually they would have to redirect their actions and undo this because they saw the heat that they were receiving, because a lot of people were calling this out. And of course, the Kotaku editor Alyssa here was celebrating the sharing of this article on the Stellar Blade page, considering this some kind of a win and own on people like Mark Kern, who are confused by Stellar Blade's account sharing this on their own page. But unfortunately for Alyssa, they would unretweet that article, basically removing it from their page. And in response to that, Alyssa would call them pussies, which is very professional. But moving on, we know Alyssa has been at the center of a lot of the controversy surrounding not just Stellar Blade, but game journalism in general. She is the senior editor at Kotaku, and right now she's struggling with two things. She's first struggling to understand why nobody would want to use this, because in our thumbnails, we don't want things that would make people shy away from our videos. We want people to click on our videos, and we would not want to use this. But she's also struggling with a controversy involving the game Farm Folks. And it has to do with this article that she made recently titled, "Farm Folks CEO on Boob Physics. We don't want to attract nasty people." Now, of course, if you look at the title of this, it seems like this CEO of Farm Folks is on the side of people like Alyssa, and they were trying to shame and attack gamers over things like boob physics in games and fan service and stuff like that. However, as we will find out, this appears to be a misrepresentation of what this CEO was trying to say, and now he claims that he's being used in some culture war by people like Alyssa to attack gamers, and it's getting him harassed, and it's hurting the success or potential success of his upcoming release. So here you can see Farm Folks here. This is the account that is in the center of all this, and they made this now deleted tweet that caused controversy on Twitter, where they said this: "All right, folks, it's time for some serious game development talk. We're tinkering with character physics in Farm Folks. Burning question, which version has the perfect breast jiggle physics?" And of course, you see 50%, 90%, 30%. And then there was some back and forth reply where they suggested something like 150%. But people would get upset. A lot of crybabies on Twitter were offended by this very harmless joke, and they would complain about Farm Folks, and they would demand that they would apologize. And this is where we get the very unfortunate stage of the story. They apologized. Absolutely terrible move, apologizing to the mob here. You can see the number of quotes outnumbering the number of likes. This was not very well perceived. Here's their statement. So it says this: we like to address a recent post where we came to our community asking for feedback. Our intent is always to connect and grow with our players, but it's clear that we really missed the mark on our recent community feedback post. For that, we sincerely apologize. We had received concerns about the female player model's breast physics in the past, and we thought we should ask the community what felt more appropriate. Unfortunately, this crossed a line. We try to foster a welcoming community, and the post and subsequent replies made many of our community members uncomfortable and alienated. The reply about 150% physics was also inappropriate, and we apologize for that. We are taking the necessary steps to learn from this, and we've committed to doing better moving forward. Now, of course, if you look at the replies, this is just the top 5 replies I saw, all of them getting more likes than the actual apology post. And here's what some of them say. You can see Mark Kern here saying the correct response would have been to get 200% as another joke and completely make them lose their minds. This user saying the correct answer to dealing with a mob that's offended about breasts is to make them bigger and bouncier. Repeat until they shut up or the laws of physics start to unravel. Savvy here says, damn fam, never apologize for the memes and good times. Still looking forward to checking out the game though. Be glad your post did attract new eyes. This user says, congratulations, your game is now officially going to sell less. Companies need to learn to grow a backbone and stand by the principles they desire as a team. If you truly want jiggle physics, then you go with it. Fight, you cowards. And this last one says you have nothing to apologize for. If someone looks at that and sexualize it, that's on them, not you. Women have breasts, breast jiggle. You made a lighthearted post asking for community feedback. Now, keep in mind, a lot of people are trying to frame this response, this general response from gamers, as harassment and toxic bullying and all these things. These are very tame comments, by the way, and this is what most of the replies in quotes look like. It's people basically saying they're disappointed that they would apologize for something that was as simple as a joke. They shouldn't have apologized. They should have put their foot down and stood up for themselves. And you can see some of these comments are actually encouraging, saying that they're still going to check out this game, or that this company shouldn't shoot themselves in the foot with statements like this, and they should learn from this and in the future double down and just pursue what they want with their own game, and not to listen to a bunch of offended people on Twitter who are probably never going to buy their game anyways. But continuing on, this was the article covering everything we just talked about. And of course, it comes from Kotaku, written by Alyssa, and it says, Farm Folks CEO on boob physics, we don't want to attract nasty people, because she interviewed the CEO of Farm Folks, and that is the quote that she went with to promote this article. Now, of course, it probably doesn't surprise you that people saw this article headline and said, oh, this CEO of Farm Folks is attacking gamers and attacking people that we just read comments from who were upset about the apology. And of course, that ended up getting the CEO harassed, and the game and any pages related to it brigaded with people who think they're being insulted by this CEO. Now, of course, pretty shortly after, the CEO would actually respond to some of these claims and replies on Twitter saying, I'm being misrepresented by these quotes used to promote this article, where Alyssa would say this: it was brought to my attention that the Cryptivo CEO was replying to people on here saying I misrepresented one of his quotes, and that she reached out and then she provided this entire transcript here. But that wasn't enough. Shortly after, she returned to dunk on him once again, saying this: I said this to him during our interview, but the Farm Folks CEO attempts to not be political are very naive in the current climate. His replies are very telling. You got pulled into a culture war because you don't have a community manager who knew that titty physics wasn't the move, chief. Then you apologized. Then the titty physic gooners got mad that you apologized. And then I interviewed you. Them's the breaks. Okay, so of course the irony is that she is blaming other people for dragging this person into a culture war when your article dragged him into a culture war. This whole thing is about a culture war. The people complaining about the physics and the jokes relating to it were part of this culture war that dragged this CEO into this whole culture war here. And also, these are jokes, and you can see by the responses, the people who are upset about this are not angry about the physics. They're more angry that this person apologized to the mob and gave in to a bunch of crybabies on Twitter who are promoting their own agenda in a culture war. And of course, this whole thing dismissing people as physics gooners is just ridiculous, but that's expected from Alyssa, the constant name calling over valid criticism. But Alex would reach out in the replies, ratioing her into oblivion, which she did not like, saying this: "Hi Alyssa, you've been using me as a tool against your nemesis, and I'm not sure if it was intentional or accidental. You misrepresented a few of my points. In our dialogue, you agreed that it's all cool to have women's breast movement in games. You reached me for clarification yourself and then refused to share it with your readers on X." Here's these replies on Discord. Alyssa saying, "Hi Alex, I noticed that you've been replying to people saying I intentionally misrepresented one of your quotes. What did you mean to say? I recorded our entire conversation and went over it with transcription." And Alex says, "Hi Alyssa, I strongly believe that this sentence was taken out of context to support a specific narrative and goal. I believe it's part of a larger context where you and I agreed that having breast physics in the game is acceptable. The quote that you shared was my response to people that are offended by the breast movement in the game. I'm clarifying what I meant since it seems it was taken out of bigger context and I probably didn't choose the best words to express it. I didn't intend to hurt anyone or call names, but it's being interpreted this way now." But Alex would continue on saying, "People are harassing me because my point is being misrepresented as well," where Alyssa replied saying, "I want you to tell me what part of the above quote you believe should be included in that section to properly represent you." And here is the original quotes, and she was combining it with the above statement from the Discord messages. However, Alex would say this: "You're cutting the most important part of it, I think," showing this highlighted section of the above statement where she omits the part where he says, "I probably didn't choose the best words to express it. I didn't intend to hurt anyone or call names, but it's being interpreted this way now." Where Alyssa says, "So you want me to include that statement? Are you denying that you said what I have quoted?" Where Alex says, "Is that what I said? Then I'm denying it. I'm explaining what I meant." And that's what he is doing. He's explaining that the above quotes here from the original section of the article needs this clarification so that these people don't feel like he is in any way disrespecting them. However, he would also point out that in the tweet where she shared the expanded statements on the situation on May 2nd, he would say, "I thought you said you'd post my clarification," where Alyssa says, "Your statement is at the end of the piece." And Alex would say, "Is it in your tweet? Because I don't see it there," where she shared it on Twitter. And Alyssa says, "My tweet is not the piece, it's in the piece." And Alex says, "You don't think it's important to clarify there as well?" Which of course is a valid question because the harassment isn't coming from people reading the article. It's coming from people reading the headline on the tweet promoting the article that misrepresents what he was trying to say. And of course, she replies again by saying it's in the piece. And Alex says, "I got that, yeah. In your tweet, you're saying you reached out to me for clarification and then you didn't include it. It just feels a bit off and probably is going to mislead your readers still." Where Alyssa says, "I am not a service. You do not get to dictate to me how I represent you. Goodbye." So she would reflect similar replies like that, replying to Alex on Twitter saying, "Hi Alex, I am not a PR person. You spoke to me for over an hour. The entire copy of our conversation was never going to be published in a piece. I maintain that your attempts to remain neutral are naive, as I told you, and I wish you luck." She's basically shaming this person for being misrepresented in her own article. She's basically saying, "I'm sorry I might have misrepresented you when I covered your story in my article, but that's not my problem. Basically, get your own PR person." It's very crazy that a journalist would say something like this. It's absolutely wild if you think about it. And of course, I feel bad for people like Alex in the situation because I believe this guy is genuinely pretty naive. Like he's someone who's trusting and he trusts that people like Alyssa are going to have his best intentions at heart, but that's just not the case. And she took advantage of him. She used him for her own agenda on Twitter. And unfortunately, he is suffering the consequences of that. So hopefully there's a lesson learned here. I hope Alex and farm folks here, they learn something from all this, not to trust anyone from Kotaku and game journalists in general, and to keep forward and focus on what their actual customer base wants, and to stop apologizing for hypersensitive people on social media. But that's going to do it for this video. Another round of gaming-related drama. I know it's just a never-ending source of content these days. And of course, I'm seeing everything going on with the Helldivers 2 controversy. I didn't want to include it in today's video because it would be like a 30-minute long video, but we're going to split that up and likely cover that tomorrow. So in case you were wondering about that, we will be covering the Helldivers 2 stuff very, very soon. But for now, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. And I'll see you guys next time.